good morning, everyone. So we are starting with the very first session of this day with this important session, the status report on the often neglected but entrenching part of the entertainment, that is performing arts. And we have eminent panelists for this. Mr. S. Surendranath, theatre personality, Ms. Arundhati Nag, theatre personality, Mr. T.S. Nagabarna, eminent filmmaker, and Mr. Jayachandra Palaze, renowned choreographer. And the moderator is Mr. Prakash Belawadi. So I'll just request Mr. Belawadi to just take over the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just start by inviting the panelists to come on the stage. Ms. Arundhati Nag, Mr. T.S. Nagabarana, Mr. Surendranath, and Mr. Jai Palari. Let me start with a couple of apologies because one is we're starting a little late, partly due to me, but also because I think the first session needs always time to settle down to start. The other thing is that Srimati B. Jayashree, who is to be part of our panel, has excused herself just a couple of days ago because it transpires that she thought it was November 30th, not October 30th. So I'm hoping that what we're going to miss from Jayashree will partly cover with Sri Nagabarana and maybe some of us. Let me give you a brief background to the philosophy of this panel. See, under the new copyright law, I don't know whether you're aware what Javed Akhtar campaigned for and finally managed to get passed in Parliament. What has happened is underpinning contributions to creative works have suddenly assumed extraordinary importance because the royalty rights for them are non-transferable, and it has become a very important issue. And as you know, cinema particularly uses elements of the performing arts in every which way, especially Indian cinema. It uses choreography, it uses music extensively. And although under performing arts we don't consider writing, I still think writing is a really important value. So I'll give a one-line introduction to the speakers. They're all extraordinary achievers in their own fields. Arundhati Nag, as you all know, most of you may know her as cinema actor now, but for us, she's an extraordinary stage actor. And Bangalore is particularly proud of her because she built the Rangashankara. She was instrumental in getting the Rangashankara built here. And one of the things that happened, as somebody put it, was because of that, the center of gravity of theater in Bangalore shifted southwards, they said, because of that. So we must welcome Arundhati Nag to this panel. Many of us who grew up in Bangalore know Nagabarana as a great actor, stage actor. And you'll be surprised to know he's a very good dancer. And he's been with Benaka for a long time, a close associate of B.V. Karanth, and he's worked closely with Girish Karnad. He's an eminent filmmaker. I don't think any filmmaker in Karnataka has won as many national awards as Nagabarana has won. And he's an extraordinary organizer, a very good networking person. He very successfully led the first, he was the first chairperson of the Karnataka Chalanachitra Academy. For 3 years, he led it very successfully, and he institutionalized the Bangalore International Film Festival. So, an organizer. He was with Rangayana's Ranga Samaj for ever since its inception, I would think. So he's an extraordinary organizer, an actor, a filmmaker, a very successful television, director. And he spans both the commercial cinema and artistic cinema in Kannada. The most famous song of Dr. Rajkumar in Kannada, Huttidare Kannada Nadalli Huttabeku, was done under his direction. So, welcome Shri T.S. Nagabharana. Surendranath is a National School of Drama graduate. He's been with advertising, he's been a teacher, he's an award-winning screenwriter, he's an award-winning playwright, he's a very good director, he's a very good actor. I've seen him on stage as an actor. And he now sort of manages Rangashankara, the artistic, he's the artistic director of Rangashankara now. So, you see there is a theme in this, that there are people who come from various fields who actually understand its various applications as well. So I welcome, and Suri led ETV Kannada for a very long time, ever since its inception. So he actually spans many fields and encompasses in himself many talents. So welcome Surendranath. I'm now introducing the speakers in no particular order. Jayachandra Palari came to Bangalore as a gift, I'm saying, because what he has done with Attakalari in Bangalore has actually put Bangalore on the world map of movement arts. And he combines in himself managerial skills, a kind of entrepreneurial ability to actually network and bring a global understanding of dance and movement arts, to Indian ideas of Indian imaginations of movement arts. And he has and his troupe have traveled around the world, with performances. Every 2 years they do an international conference here. I don't know how he manages it. Actually, I am hoping that he will talk about that also, during his presentation. And one of the key questions we should ask is, how do we make this city a more hospitable place for people like him? Because he still does not have a permanent place to build his academy and a place to practice. And I'm hoping, he can make a plea, and Aru can actually offer some solutions on, how maybe something could be achieved by organizations like FICCI and the governments. I've already taken too much time. I'll start with Arundhati. No, I think I'll start with Suri. We will talk about a crisis in writing that we seem to have. Why are we not able to? I'm not even offering this as criticism. I don't have any particular opinion on it, because in a recent seminar, somebody said, why are only adaptations from novels being done for theater, for instance? Why are translations and adaptations being done, from other forms? I'm saying it's not just theater, for cinema, for theater, for television, in which he has suffered long enough. He should tell us why there is a crisis in writing, if there is, and what could be the solution for it. I suggest, we speak for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, so that we could maybe have a second round and have time for questions from the audience. Thank you. There's a request from TV channels that if you go there, it says this.
Well, good morning. I'm supposed to talk about writing in theater, film, and television. writing for. Uh, it's writing for television, theatre, and film are a little different from writing a novel or a poetry. Writing a novel and poetry is more personal expression, so you don't need an external element to complete that expression. But television, film, and theatre they need an external element, audience. So more particularly for television, you'd certainly need an audience. The development of any television serial depends upon the way the audience reacts. So I can tell you the story of a film or a drama in a couple of lines, but I can never tell you the story of a serial in line, in one line or two lines. In my 13 years with ETV, I've never found a complete story for a television. I just get some proposals. This happens because it develops depending on what audience wants. Like if a character is very popular, they continue with that. If the character is not popular, they kill him, put a photograph and put him a garland on it, and then they forget him, they move further. So, and you can only start, you can begin a serial, and ending the serial is always with the audience or with the TV channel. You don't have any rights to end. Like, you cannot end till the television channel says, you please end it next week or whatever it is. So when you have these external constraints, like, it becomes more technical. Both television and theatre and film. A lot of techniques are involved. Like, for a novel, I know it needs a technique, but it's still I can write a novel the way I want it to be, but I cannot write a film script or a television script the way I want it. Content is what it belongs to me, but still it has a technique behind it. I need to know the possibilities of theatre or possibilities of television, or the constraints of television, or the possibilities or constraints of film. Something wrong? Okay. So, unless I know these constraints, I cannot write a film or television or a drama, a script for television or a script for film, or I cannot write a drama. I need to know the basics of filmmaking, or I need to know the basics of television, or I need to know the basics of theatre. Without knowing that, I cannot write further. So when you have these constraints, when it becomes more technical, I'm sure a certain amount of training is needed in it. I'm of the opinion that an actor is not born, an actor is trained. So you got to keep on looking at it, you got to keep on exploring it. That's why, likewise, you don't have a born scriptwriter, a born playwright, a born novelist. Particularly for film, television, and theatre, it needs training because it is more technical. You need to know how to develop a television serial, or you need to know how to start a film and how are you going to develop it, and at what point of time you're going to make a number of changes, what are you going to bring in, what else are you going to get into the film script or television scripts. Particularly if it's a television script, you've got a major thing. After 5 days, you need to have a big break in it. Because you're counting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday is your last day. You're going to bring in something very big in it. And Monday starts with another big bang, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes a little soft. And again, 5th day, you come out with another big bang. Now, that was about a couple of years ago. Now, nowadays, television it's so much like every break needs a big bang now. Otherwise, the audience are going to walk out. So with so many constraints, so many techniques involved in it, I'm sure it needs a bit of training in it. Now, without training, you cannot write, particularly the film or for television and for theater. I need to know, I need to be trained in it. I need to have a bit of training before I explore myself in these writings. So I'm sure that with a lot of training in it, one is the experience that a person has, and the second is the training, and I'm sure we will get some good writers around, and unless we have this training in mind, nothing can be done in these three things. I think we'll take later some questions.
I know that Kamal Hassan also mentioned it yesterday. It's been reported in the papers, and this is going to be our critical problem, I think, it is already, and in the years to come, because when you say project a 16%, compounded annual rate of growth, and this industry is going to double in the next 3 or 4 years, but you do not have skills for it, because the question is, I believe training is important, like all of us believe, because you may have potential, but you need training for it to convert to skill. You would never say this for a singer, for instance. You're not going to put a singer on, on stage for performance without training. Why is it it's okay with acting, or it's a big problem it is. I'm going to ask Jay to speak about this, and I know this whole extraordinary philosophy about a memory of gesture, of what the body retains as its own, or for expression. And are we neglecting this fundamental aspect in training? No, I would suggest you speak there. Thanks.
Thank you, Prakash. I will first say something about the idea of space and how we convert a space into a place, or convert a space into an expression. So human body, in our Vastu architecture, or in our yoga or body care system or martial art, the body is considered, unlike the Cartesian system of the West, as a system of an amalgamated system which connect to the universe. And in Indian performing arts, the idea was to always, the training was to create a neutral body to embody any expression that person or that individual can do on stage or on film or on any other medium. So when you transcend the contours of the physical body through breath, through the articulation of the spine, and through focus. So if you focus from with the eye, a small movement in Bharatanatyam like this, but if you look at the eyes, then the space is traveled through there. So in a way, this idea has huge potential. And in our work in Artakalari, we work with great international artists in terms of interactive technology, digital projections, and animation. So here, one has to really understand how we inhabit these spaces. And if you look at Indian cinema and the dance choreography in the cinema, most of the time what we see is a frontal dance and a unison dance. This is a very basic idea of dance, actually. And if you can think about creating a dance or a movement for the camera, dance on camera, then the way we have to think about space is very different. People like Almodovar or Wim Wenders were very inspired by Pina Bausch, the great German choreographer. Peter Greenaway was very inspired by choreographers. So there is a history of Kurosawa's massive war scenes are excellent examples of choreography. So how cinema or television